Okay, everyone, that concludes that video. We still have more to do on the Rambler, and we still have more to do on the Eagle, and we'll get back on those. But first, we're going to be heading over to, I will be heading over to Great AMC Days in Cleves, Ohio, and that will be put on with Damian Terrell and all of that, guys. So if you haven't seen it online, please look for it. We covered it last year, and I hope to be there this year. All right, hope to see you there. See you soon. Keep watching. Remember to just subscribe and like and share these videos, everyone. Thanks for watching. All right, so you had the gas tank now.
The gas tank on the outside is fine. So you can see the undercoat here.
Yeah.
And this is where the sending unit was located.
There's your fuel tube.
Yeah, the in tube, and this is the vent up here. But the inside is just a mess. So what I do is this: fill full of stones.
Okay.
And this is just, I got a lot of stones. I've already got quite a few in there, but just put a lot of stones. Fill full of stones. Big jagged stones are good. And here's a lot in there. I'm gonna put more in there. And I'm finding a convenient place to just rotate it, okay? Just to try to scrape that rust off. And you can do it many ways. I'll let you do it here. But you gotta do this for a long time. You put a lot of them in there. And then just go like that.
You're not putting any chemical or any water,
Well,
just the rocks.
Yeah, right. I'm going to see how good I can get it. If I put chemicals, more money. Muriatic acid for some acid doesn't cost too much, maybe.
So I got a jug of muriatic acid at the house.
Yeah, okay, if you think that'll help. I'm going to sit out here, and I'm going to be doing this for quite a while. Okay.
Good God! Look at all that.
All right.
It's hard to see it, but it's throwing smoke out.
If I rattle some of those stones out of there.
Well, you wanna shake it together?
I'm gonna rattle some stones out. After you do this, of course, at some point you gotta get all the stones out. That's not easy to do.
Oh, good God, they're black.
This one here, I'll probably get a few of them out here.
You're getting them out, they're black. They ain't white no more.
Yeah, it comes out all the time. But then, yeah, there we are.
Yeah, they're coming out black.
And you can see how these guys look. Here's a bunch of them. They're covered. They're covered in rust, okay? And that's the old gasoline that's in them, okay? But I'm going to sit here and do that for a long, long time. And I'll put water in there too. Slosh it around with water. And whatever I think I can do, you try to break it all loose. And you can feel inside and see how good you're doing. All right?
Okay.
So that's going to take a long time.
So you do it dry. You start off dry.
Well, I just started with it, okay? I'm going to do that. I'll put some water in there, do it with water, okay?
Okay.
And try to, because the water will dissolve some of the crud and
Yeah.
whatever you do to clean it out. Then, if you have some muriatic acid, we can try that. Maybe that'll dissolve what's left on the walls. But it's got to be halfway good on the inside. And those rocks will take a lot out, I tell you. So the procedure is going to be this. We're not going to do this today, of course, but the procedure is going to be this.
It'd be nice to get a wash machine and make it where it's unbalanced. Fill that thing full of rocks and then put it on a wash machine that's unbalanced and have it.
Yeah, well, if you had a machine to do it. But,
Yeah.
But by the time we get that done, I'd be finished with my mechanical. I tried using your engine, the trolley for the engine, which cranks. but the tank's too big. This thing sticks out too far, hits the floor. So, so I figured this here is pretty good. Just roll it down my wall here, back and forth. Now this is called, you know, your desperation. If you could buy another gas tank,
What about putting it on straps and putting it up on the engine hoist so you can swing it?
Yeah, I could do that probably, but I'm just going to roll it. It's right here.
Okay, I'm just trying to think, you know, if
There's
you're
lot-
one armed man, you got to come up with
a
other
lot of
ways.
ways to go about it. But the thing is to do a lot and keep doing it. You can put water in there, and of course the water will run out really easily. And you try to get it so the water starts to being clear. You know, you're sort of getting down to it. And then when you're done with that, get your rocks out, okay? And that's going to take a long time. Those things are going to rattle back and forth. You have 4 or 5, it just won't come out, okay? This one here, a little bit easier because the spout is here. They'll come down and I can rattle them out. But we'll get them out of there. So then, when that's done, I usually take a power washer. And I stick that right in the hole there. And I turn it as much as I possibly can. You know, regular water power washer. You put some soap in it or whatever you want. And just keep pushing it up in here as much as you can, just to get a lot of action. I'll probably shoot it down here a little bit, but mainly in here. This one's just got one hole, so on the Eagle tank, this here is flat, so you can actually get in this way too. But here you can't, because you got this snout out of here. So we're going to put that in our power washer, and when that's all done, and then more water and wash it around, dump it out. And when you get to the point where you think you've done the most you can, we'll try your acid. Maybe that might help a little bit. Then you got to dry it, okay? It's got to be absolutely dry. And after water and acid and all this kind of stuff, it's got to be absolutely dry. And probably the best way to do that is just sit it outside in the sun for a long time.
And hope for no rain.
Yeah, I mean, cover up the rains. Take a fan, blow in there.
But it's got to be air hose, crank it in there and let it run.
Yeah, but you know, it takes a long time to dry something. So putting it in the sun, setting it upright like that, you know, it's hot. You know, the moisture's going to come out of it.
Yeah.
Particularly in the summertime like this, is going to work. Then we're going to do that, and you know, before the next video, and then we're going to try to coat it. All right.
Okay, you want to coat it?
Coat it, and we're going to put in some it's called red top or red something or other. It's like a pint of material, and you close off all the holes, okay? Tape them all off really good, and you put that in and you swirl it around so you kind of coat the whole gas tank. Okay, the gas tank's relatively light, and so you swirl it around so and that'll put a coat on the inside of the gas tank. You can't paint it because you can't get in there. But it's made special for that. And when it hardens, it doesn't dissolve in gasoline. Okay, so that is a hard coat on the inside of the gas tank. Okay. And when you send it off for somebody to treat your gas tank, that's what they're doing. They're cleaning it somehow. Maybe they got chemicals or whatever, but the whole objective is to get to the point where you can put that in. But it's got to stick to it. It's not going to stick to it unless you get the rust off. Okay?
Yeah.
Then then you let that dry for a long time. And the secret with that, do not let it puddle. You get a puddle in there and it'll form a coat over the puddle. Underneath the puddle is still liquid sealer. Okay. And what'll happen, and I can tell you this from experience, what'll happen, it'll dissolve into the gasoline. And then it'll suck it into your engine. And I've got that spirit in there. I had it apart about 3 times before I figured this out. And I think what I did was I went on eBay and I bought this red coat that was inexpensive. Okay, same can and everything, but I think it was a phony product. I put that in there, and you know, it all looked fine. Put it back together, started up, ran fine. Shut the engine off. Come back the next day, turn it over, and I would bend a couple of pushers. And after about the 3rd time of doing that, taking it apart, why did these rods bend on this thing for? And I looked at YouTube and, you know, investigated and stuff and tried to figure it But then I got looking, I could see all this red inside the engine, okay? And what was happening is that stuff was dissolving into the gasoline. It was running through the engine. You turn the engine off, it would cool, it would harden. It would harden right in place, okay? And where it would harden, it would break it would bend the push rods. So now I had it all the way through the intake manifold, it was all red in there. So I took the head off. I went down to see the machine shop down here, showed it to him. And I said, is this normal, all this red and stuff? And we talked about it, and he said, well, that's what happened. So we had to take the whole thing and put it in his tub, and and he dissolved everything, and we redid the valve, we did all this stuff. And then I took a blowtorch, and I got inside the manifold, and blew in with a blowtorch, try to melt the stuff and get it out of there, and eventually we did all that, put it on, and it works fine. Okay. And then I went down to Napa, and I got their stuff, and their stuff was black, not red, which I knew was a good product, okay? And then I redid my gas tank again. I cleaned it out, and I did various things and put that in there, and then no problem after that. So that you have to be really, really careful of. But you can take the right material and let it puddle. You get it in there, and not, it has to be just a thin coat. And you let it sit down, and there's a whole bunch in the middle, and you let it sit and dry. Oh God, it's fine, but it doesn't dry underneath it, And the gasoline will get in, it will dissolve the stuff when it's wet. When it's dry, it doesn't. Okay, so that's going to be the big trick is that, and do let it sit and dry for a long time. Okay, just to be sure. Don't be wanting to go to the car show next week and go through this in a hurry. If you're doing this yourself, if you don't want to have a potential for big problems, right? But with a gas tank like this, this 63 Rambler there, you're not going to find a gas tank for this thing. A junkyard gas tank or something, but you probably are not going to find a remanufactured one. For the Eagle, you can buy them. They're cheap, $125, brand new gas tank.
Yeah.
It looks exactly like the old one, they got the dyes or something. I don't know what the thing's exactly.
Well, they're making gas tanks now for the Gremlins. That's
for the Gremlins.
new.
Yeah, some kind of market for it. 63 Rambler, not much of a market for it, so probably.
And they introduced it right after Chris had sent his off to get his fixed and done.
I mean, if you get a new gas tank, put it on.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you go to one of these auto places. Maybe they've got a gas tank that was a new one that was a new old stock. Maybe. But a Rambler, you're not going to find anybody reproducing gas tanks for a Rambler. When I may have one of the very few of them that are around anymore, so you're kind of stuck with doing this. But if you can start off with a gas tank that's solid, okay?
Yeah.
And a lot of these old ones, they're rusted through it. I got some in there just rusted through it. Then you can't do anything with it.
Yeah, 80 models, right?
Yeah, I got some up in the rack up there. They just rusted through. They get rusted through on top. Up in this area here where the water sits. This one here you can see has been under the carpet, good and solid there. So this is a good gas tank. So that's what we're going to do. And a long process, but that's the way it is with these old cars, But you can see all that crud coming out. And I'll come down probably tomorrow. I'll roll this thing a few more times, maybe 100 more times, and then I'll put water in there, and then I'll leave it outside, let it dry so it doesn't rust more. Get all the water out and stuff. But whatever you can do, whatever magic you can try to pull, but you know what you're doing. What you're trying to do is you're trying to get rid of that rust. You can feel inside. You can see how well you're doing. It feels smooth in there. It's never going to be shiny.
No.
Unless you've got some expensive rust dissolver or something. But how you're going to spend a lot of money putting a gallon of that stuff in there, rolling it around, throwing it on the ground. So I think this will probably work just fine. You get her nice and clean. Okay? All right. So that's where we are with that today. Now you can probably cut that, and we'll work on yours.
All right.
2 bottles. You get all the stuff out of the inside, and then you can plug all the holes up, and you go through bottle number 1 and bottle number 2. Okay, and that kind of neutralizes everything before you get ready. And then they give you some paint, but this paint is not for a gas tank. This is just like for rust outside.
Okay, okay.
And it's really good paint. I'll tell you, I used
This
it.
is the black, the ox tint. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay,
it's
so it's
black.
the 415. Okay.
Yeah, it's part of this kit, but it's not. But this is not gas paint at all. This is outside paint.
Right, right.
And then they give you a can of this. That's the gas tank paint.
Okay.
Oh,
So
and
415, same company.
yeah, and that you put in there silver. And after you do these two, you know, then everything's really dry, and you put that in and roll it around and roll it around, and then you let it sit for days. They recommend 3 days of just sitting, and make certain that you've got a hole in the far end so all the excess pours out of the tank. It doesn't puddle up. It won't dry puddle. And after you use it, you take all the seal. It says here, don't save when you pour the excess out.
Yeah, don't save it, throw it away.
Yeah. Don't save it. And I thought, well, of course, you want to save it. But there's no use. Right away, it gets hard. And I can hardly get the top off of this.
Because it's sealed shut, didn't it?
Yeah, just like a gas tank, huh? But what happens is, I'll take it off. It gets hard right away.
Oh, it gets hard.
Yeah,
Right
you don't put it back in the can, rattle around. It right away it gets hard.
Oh.
And you know, because I put a little bit on another place, I opened it up and I was able to scrape a little off and put it in, I think on the tube in the back that goes down to the gas tank. But it got hard right away. In the can itself, they have a couple of clips on it, so they can tell whether you got into it or not.
Yeah.
Because there isn't opening it up and closing it up. Once you open it up,
It's done.
it's done. And it says seals pinhole, resistant to all fuels and alcohol and professional use. Okay, so you do have to follow instructions. But does what? Yeah, this car is very nice underside. The other side is really clean. Put it up in the air and take a look. Put the camera on it.
I'll do that. That molding come off again?
It's on crooked, so I pulled it off, and I noticed that for some reason the color is different underneath it.
Yeah, that fender's been changed.
Yeah, something's been done.
And I don't think they got the holes. I think that one originally didn't have the molding. And somebody added the molding because I don't think they got the one on the side right either. So were you excited to put it over here up on the lift and start playing?
Yeah, I actually got it started.
I see you got your external gas jug going on.
Well, we're going to go through the gas tank thing on the video after I fiddle with this for a little bit.
Yeah, do your
And
thing,
we'll
Larry.
go through the whole problem with the gas tank.
Pretty nasty, huh?
Yeah, you know, sometimes you will get, gas tanks that sat for a long time that are fine on the inside. This was fine on the outside, but the inside is very rusty. Very rusty, so we'll take a look at that on the video. Okay, that.
What you missing, Larry?
I'm looking for the pin is still here. Okay. I find this little tool here is handy for this.
Yeah.
It's still hard to do. I can't see what I'm doing. And David, I found my flashlight.
Oh, where'd you leave it this time?
I'll show you. I'll show you where I left it. And also, when we moved your car, I found your flashlight.
Yeah, I knew. I left mine up there at the bottom.
Yours is underneath the car.
Yeah.
That's where I found it.
Yeah, it fell down. I was like, well, I'll get it later.
Okay, but you knew where you lost it, is that right?
Yeah, I knew where it was. I just couldn't reach my hand down in there.
Okay, it was right underneath the car. I found it on the floor when I pulled your car out.
That was a little too far for Fat Boy to reach.
Yeah.
My belly was getting in the way, which, praise the Lord, I've lost a few pounds.
Okay, good.
Yeah, man. I feel a lot better. Been having to eat right.
This here's coming out really hard.
And no smoking's helped a lot too.
Yeah. Shoot. I just can't seem to get it into that hole.
So I have to hold the back of the nail in order for me to get it pushed in all the way.
Yeah, well, for some reason I can't get it lined up properly.
Let me have a stab at it,
I
Larry.
got my shoes on the right side, I hope. I mean, the thing is have I got it into the, am I in the right hole here? I'm doing it in the right place, I hope. Sometimes they go in really easily.
Yeah, I know.
Yep, the other side was no problem at all. Just went right on. Let me see. Right there.
Well, there's always one that wants to be a pain in the rear. Argue with you. No, can't make it. No. So you pulled it over here. You got her running.
No, I got it running before I pulled it over here.
So you drove it over here.
No, I didn't drive it. I didn't dare do that because there are no brakes on it.
Oh, okay.
And when I put it in gear, it lurched backwards. And I figured, I mean, it was running really roughly. And it lurched backwards, and I thought, if I try driving this thing with no brakes, I'm going to end up banging into a wall or something. So I didn't dare do that. So we towed it over here.
Okay.
Very carefully with this tractor.
So she smoothed out any since you got her running?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it smoked like crazy for a long time.
Well, I'm sure.
A long time.
I say it did. I say it probably looked like half this mountain was on fire. All them rings soaked in oil and everything.
Something. I know it's you're probably getting frustrated watching me do this because I generally can get it like right away, but I noticed that these these older cars are not, you know, not self-adjusting.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta. I noticed the self-adjusting mechanism is not part of the arrangement. Right now, here.
Somebody took good care of this little car.
There it is.
There you
There
go.
it is. Finally got it.
You rotten rascal.
All right, but we'll leave that one, and then we'll work on your stuff for a while.
Now, go ahead and finish it. Finish it, Larry. You ain't got but 3 springs.
Yeah,
3 springs, adjuster, and a back plate.
everything is hard to do.
Oh, you got to put that plate in.
All right. Then
Getting
you
it
got this
off.
guy here.
Yeah, there you go. So you getting there.
And you got
I love drum brakes. I've done so many of them.
in this direction and try to get everything so. And I notice with these the hard thing is that bottom spring because the self-adjusting mechanism is not part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that holds the adjustment is no more than, you know, the adjusters right here.
Right here.
You know, in your Eagle, there'll be a little thing that comes down.
Right, locks
and
that.
it turns, you know.
Yeah, that.
This doesn't have that. And so the way that it works is it rubs against the spring.
Ooh.
That's what holds it in place. And then you have to manually move it. Okay.
Okay.
See,
That's what your spoon's for.
Because none of that, so you don't see the little cord that comes down.
Yeah.
That's not here because it's, you know, these had, you know, before they invented that, these were manually adjusted. So, so I think what I've learned is I think the next stage is probably these, and the bottom one is the last one, and that one's tough to do. I think what I did next was this here. What have I got? I got that. That's the bottom, left and right. Okay, there's not too many more pieces to go here. No, that's not it. It's right here. Yeah, I mean, for this car, just chatting the. You know, I couldn't get anything out of the gas tank, and it was try to blow air back into it, and it was blocked. That's how come I got that little
The external gas
can on
yeah.
the side there. Put my gasoline. I put an electric fuel pump on it to get fuel, and then the carburetor. Everything in the carburetor was frozen up from sitting for so long. And so I had a carburetor kit, you know, and I changed a lot of pieces inside and cleaned it out, and you know, whether it's going to be good enough or not, I don't know. It's a 4-barrel. There's a lot to it. Stay there. But the things that I changed, the carburetor kit seemed to be rather complete, but the things that I changed were the needle valves, 2 of them, which were totally stuck. Because like you said, stronger, it's easier for you to do that. And 2 of those, and then there was a pump for the accelerator.
Mm-hmm.
That's all, you know, they gummed up from setting for 60 years. And then chunks of gum, the flows were stuck, gummed up and just plain stuck to it.
Yeah.
Cleaned that out. The carburetor cleaner surprisingly works really well. It dissolves it. It is special. It's not like WD-4. It's not like that. It's something else, and it will dissolve a gasoline that sat and somehow hardened over the years. So I learned that was kind of a necessary thing to have when you do it. Let's see. This one here, he goes here to here. Yeah, that's got to be it. All right. Now you're going to have to look nicer than that. you know, when something is not running well, it's going at high speed, you kick it in gear, and of course the transmission hasn't been used in 60 years.
Yeah.
Or 50 years. The car is 60 years old, about 50 years probably. And you never know what's going to happen, so it lurched backwards at a great speed. And the only way to stop it is kick it out of gear because the brakes don't work. Brakes are totally frozen. You can see here's the one I just took off. Okay.
Oh man.
That's how it looks on both sides.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any. I was going to hone them out, but they're such bad shape. I had some other ones here, but I'm short one for the. There's a right and left, I guess, with these things here. Mm-hmm. And I got a lot of left ones.
Wheel cylinders.
Yeah, wheel cylinders, but I'm short one for this, and I got, you know, some I picked up over time, you know, but they're all for the other side.
Well, if you got a cylinder bore, we can clean it up.
Well, those are pretty bad. I took and banged on it to drive that cylinder out, and it wouldn't go. So, you know, it may just be. I mean, usually I do that. They just come right apart, but these bang, 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 and it doesn't even move. And that's 50 years worth of corrosion and stuff. So now we're down to this. That's all in there like it should be, I think, pretty much. And for this one here, the trick is the spring goes in like this here. Okay, now that spring's got to go. It's got to go over here, but I think how I did the other side was I put this thing, and I got this thing together, and I put the spring in there. Like that. Oops, backwards. And like that, and then over in here. I got it into that hole right there. So I'll get it in like that. Put a pair of vice grips in it so I get a better hold of it.
Where's your flashlight? Hand that to me.
Yeah, okay. Shine that down in there. And then I'm going to try to stretch it and get it into that, but it's moved on me.
It moved in closer. There you go.
I can only stretch so far, and the whole thing's going to move on me. Come on. Okay. As long as it goes into the hole. But you see, that being like that's okay. But now, I've got to get.
You gotta get the
adjuster down into there. Okay.
And you've cranked it all the way in too, right?
Yeah, I cranked it all the way in because when it was adjusted out.
Yeah.
You know, it was about that much when I took it apart. So I adjusted her all the way in. Now, how did that go? I think it went like this here. Yeah, I think it's right. I think that's how it was in there. And see, it rubs against the spring, so it's just kind of really odd. Like that. Well, maybe I can get it in there like that. Okay, that may be fairly easy, okay? And then it cranks, going down, cranks out. The adjustment would be going it's not right here. Okay, now let me see. Is that in there about right? Is the brake shoe, is that sitting?
You want the drum?
The drum, I mean, is that over there?
Yes.
I put some pin in. Is that sitting there? looks different too, doesn't it? It's got that rim. I mean, the shoes are fine and the rims are fine. Car has not got that many miles on it. Okay, so it fits over top. Okay, so that's all right. So now it's just
Yeah, it's so loose it's about fall out. Which is,
yeah, it shouldn't.
no, it should be loose.
Okay, well let me crank it down like that.
I have a tool at the house, Larry, that takes the inside measurement of the drum. That way you can adjust the shoes out. So all you gotta do is a final adjustment.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I don't have that here. Okay, I'm gonna have to. Because I'm just sort of guessing if I can get it to come out enough. Boy. Yeah, that would be useful to know, since it is a manual adjustment, to know about where to set it. Because it does make a difference in how far your brake pedal goes down, just extending the shoes out.
If you about know where it was, go close to about that, and then.
What is that? Shine your flashlight right down. I don't understand why. What am I doing here? Okay, it should go like that. Okay. There must be a way to adjust this thing from the outside.
Yeah, you need to use
Is
a
there a
spoon.
way to go with a tool in the back?
Yeah, what's called a spoon. It's a flathead screwdriver bent at about a 40-degree angle.
Yeah, I probably have one here someplace. Yeah, with your car, you know, that one I started up and I drove it to get it in where it is. You know, what we did was we took the yellow one was next to you, the Spirit. So that one I could get started. I just drove that out of there, parked it someplace. And then we took this one here and carefully pulled it out, maneuvered it back and forth with blocks and stuff so it wouldn't just take off on us.
Yeah.
Down the hill, bang into his tractor. And he's got this articulated John Deere lawnmower because his lawn over there has got some very steep hills. And so this is a very expensive John Deere, not articulate, it's four wheels turn on it.
Okay.
And it's quite large and four-wheel drive. And so you can go up hills and around trees and stuff. And it's very stable and it really will climb. It'll climb steep hills and stuff. And that's really good for coming over here. A regular lawnmower just spins.
Oh.
So light, we've done it before, just to spin. This thing is heavy enough it won't. And so we took and we pulled this car around and pulled it into here. But that space was empty, so he came out that way and he drove out that, you see. And then we drove your car and got it centered give you more space to work back there. And then I put all the tools and stuff back over here to make some room. But yours, there's something wrong. Man, it...
Still don't want to run right now.
Well, that front wheel drive, I don't think is right. Because I took it down the end of the driveway, and I said, I better not go any further. I'll get down, I won't be able to get back up here, you know. Because it was just really, really hard going. And out here, we just would spin. You know, the back wheels would spin, trying to push that front end.
Okay.
So I think it's locking up. And that one will, I mean, it was running halfway decently, actually, the engine. But it just would stall and carry on and, you know, make a lot of racket, and you couldn't keep it running because it would, you know, lock up and things. So, so I think what we'll do is do the inside work, and eventually, you know, when that gets done, because I'll be doing this, and we'll pull it out and get it back on the lift and and fiddle with that, because that you have to have the lift to do it. The inside, you don't need a lift. Okay, see, I probably got a little bit too much.
Yeah, a little too much on that.
Believe it or not. Which is okay. But I can't believe that
You still going out, or are you going in?
I'm going in.
Thought that's
Out is going like this.
Okay.
And I can't believe it. It rubs against the spring as it stops. Seems like it's kind of a cheap thing to do. Yeah.
Still a little too slow.
Yeah, I pulled it a lot. I probably need to hit it and pull it back in.
Ooh.
I think the first thing we'll do is we'll do a little video on the gas tank. That's rather quick, and then we'll work on your top. That takes a little more setup to get that right. Am I going right? I'm pretty sure. Am I doing that right? Am I going the wrong way?
I have no idea.
Some of these are reverse.
Hmm.
I thought I was doing this to tighten it. Maybe not.
You getting shorter or longer?
Hard to tell. It goes so slowly. And I think it's going in. I think
See where you at.
yeah. But you see the shoes are okay, and the drums are okay. So, you know, it shows that it hasn't got that many miles on it. Okay. We'll leave it there for the time being, okay? All right, with that said, move all this in here because I'm moving to another wheel. So.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of the American Motors Guy. What do I have today? Well, I have some more of the 1963 AMC Rambler 990 Ambassador that Larry Dominici has and has been working on. This one is where he's doing the gas tank and the brakes on the car, getting everything ready so we can get it ready for the road. All right, everybody, so here's what we have.